There you go.
All right, everybody, welcome to Geek Vice, a podcast by a few geeks just trying to be heard in a world now flooded with geeks. Uh, we've got a live studio audience here for you today. Your normal host, John Guzman, is MIA. He's traveling for, that real world job that none of us really want to have. So you're stuck with me, Morph, your zombie apocalypse. I can't even read my own tagline. Your bartender for the zombie apocalypse. And the other guy, I'm just going to skip right over me and go right to the guy playing the music here, is Kip, a man boldly going from the couch to the kitchen and back again. How you doing there, Kip?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, sir?
Not too bad, not too bad. Kind of trying to do two things at once here. So if I get distracted, it's just me watching the Chiefs kick the crap out of the New England Patriots.
That's a big night for you.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. So, you know,
So, are you drinking anything while you're watching Monday Night Football and
uh,
podcasting?
whoa, whoa, whoa. I think that should just be considered a stupid question. Um, yes, I am drinking. This is a Farmhouse Red. It is from Blue Moon, and it is a Saison Flanders style ale. I basically just picked it up because it said Flanders style ale, and it just made me think of the Simpsons. So,
Yeah,
um,
because what would be Flanders style?
I don't know, but it's actually pretty good. You have to have an open mind for this one. It is a red ale, which is not it's not as hoppy as an IPA, but it has got a lot more flavor to it than your lagers. But this one actually has it's actually brewed with pepper. So when you take a drink, you can actually um, taste the flavor of pepper in the drink, and I think that's kind of cool. My wife hates it, but I kind of like it.
That sounds interesting. I'll have to give that a whirl sometime.
Yeah, it's Blue Moon, so it's not like one of those weird offshoot brewing companies that you've never heard of. Blue Moon's, they're well known. They've got some good beers out there, so
Absolutely.
I recommend it. What are you drinking tonight?
Water. I'm as
Water.
boring as hell.
Did you run out of whiskey? Is that the problem here?
No, I still have some. I have some Jack Daniels, but I had a bowl of cereal for dinner, so I figured whiskey and milk didn't mix.
Yeah, you'd almost just need to go with vodka if you're gonna do that.
Yeah, I probably have some of that too, but not a big vodka drinker.
I don't blame you. I
But
don't blame you.
tonight after work, well, while I was at work, my wife called me and says the garage door went down to about 6 inches and it stopped. And now it won't go either direction.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I left work early, so that was the plus side. I got to leave work early and checked it out. Went to Lowe's and got new sensors for
Yeah,
the beam, the safety beam or whatever they call it.
yeah, that's the most worthless invention ever.
Yeah, but your garage door does not work without them.
Yeah, that's true.
Installed those bad boys, and now the garage door works. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations on do-it-yourselfer there.
Yeah,
Next thing you know, you're going to be building a house from scratch.
yeah, I don't see that happening. It'd be very tiny, made out of balsa wood.
Maybe some Legos,
Yeah,
things that automatically clip together. You don't really have to secure anything.
exactly. Because if I glue stuff, it'll end up like stuck to my fingers and maybe even my forehead.
You'll be that kid shaking your hand. Get off! Get off!
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
the
right there.
craggle. It's the craggle.
Exactly, exactly. So, Kip, I heard you had a big weekend.
I did have a big weekend. Besides watching football, I got 3 video games that came due through the library system. I don't know about everywhere else, but here you can put things on reserve, and then they'll just send you an email when they're ready to pick up. And unfortunately for me, all 3 of them showed up at the same time. It was Titanfall, Destiny, and Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I can't speak. I should have been drinking whiskey. So I decided, Thursday night I'll play Titanfall, Friday night I'll play Destiny, and then Saturday night I'll play Assassin's Creed, and then Sunday I'll just play the one I like the best. So Thursday night I played Titanfall. I've played it before. It's interesting. It's a first-person shooter where you can jump in giant mechanical armor and all this other stuff, and I actually prefer Call of Duty over that. No. It's not bad. I don't hate it, but it's not one of those games where it's like, oh, I just gotta play some Titanfall.
Right.
But it's not too shabby. If I was fabulously wealthy, I'd buy it. But I'm not so I'm not gonna buy it.
So are you saying if you were mediocre wealthy, you wouldn't buy it?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
But since I'm dirt poor, I'm really not going to buy it.
I got it. I gotcha.
And the whole idea of jumping inside the mechanical suit, and battling it out sounds really cool. But I found myself playing just as the pilot on the ground, and when it says, hey, your mech is ready, it's like, I don't care. And I just kept going on, and then finally it's like, you know what, this thing keeps flashing, I might as well drop the thing and jump in and see what I can do. So I was actually just enjoying being a foot soldier more than that. So it's the game's kind of lost on me in that aspect. But it wasn't too bad. It was a good Thursday night activity. And then Friday night I played Destiny. I don't know how much you know about Destiny, but it's more of an MMO, first-person shooter. And this is my first foray into MMOs. Never really done that before. And it's the first time I played. I played it in the afternoon because there wasn't any football games on I wanted to watch. And I played for a little while. I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. I played some of the story, and the graphics are awesome, and I like the first-person shooter aspect of it, being a Call of Duty guy. And then the Nebraska game came on, so I watched that, and then after that I dropped Destiny back in. Wait a minute, I'm skipping ahead. I'm still on Friday. So I played Friday afternoon while the wife was at the gym. She came back, we watched some TV for a while, she went to bed, then I put Destiny back in. And I played for a little while, and it's like, you know what, this wasn't as fun as it was the first time. So I went to bed. Saturday, I watched football all day, decorated for Halloween, didn't really get any video gaming in until after the Husker game was over, which was like 11:30. And
so you went for a late night gaming session.
I did, but that's not unusual. I'll play till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's not unusual. And I put in Assassin's Creed. And the opening sequence where you're on the ship and you actually get to fire cannonballs at the other ships, that was pretty cool. I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. And then, you get blown up, the ship blows up and you get thrown in the water, and then you swim to shore.
Yeah.
And the assassin washes up on shore with you. There's a little bit of a dialogue, and then he takes off running. And then it says, find the assassin. It's like, okay, so I took off in the direction of the assassin. Found this abandoned treehouse area, I guess you'd call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wandered around, climbed all over everything, never saw any hint of where this guy was. And after about 5 or 10 minutes, it's like, you know what, I don't even really care if I find him. So I shut the game off and haven't turned it back on since.
Oh, man.
So I'm sure it's, the game is probably pretty great, but when I can't get through the
That's,
training
yeah, that's
sequence because I'm already bored, that's not a good sign for me.
well, and I will defend it in this sense, and that's that Assassin's Creed. They treat each game as if you've never played any of the others, which is good. They need that.
Which I
But
hadn't.
right, but those like that part that you're in there, they try so hard to get a good tutorial, like to have a tutorial without it being a tutorial. You've played those games where it's like they start you out and they say push the right analog stick up to look up and push down
Yeah.
to look down and to move forward use the left one and go. It's like they try really hard not to do that. But that part that you're on right there, it is the tutorial, but they don't really give you, like, they're trying so hard to make it part of the game that it really gets disconnected. Like, it's really, you almost have to force your way through it just to try to learn all the stuff and then like get into the meat of it, because once you leave that island, then you actually start into some of the story.
Okay.
So if
Yeah,
if you can put it back in, just try to get through that island, find that guy. That kind of leads in. It's kind of like the prequel to the actual game starting.
I figured as much, but I was moving around, jumping around. I started feeling a little bit like, hey, some motion sickness may be coming on. That, and then the fact that I just wasn't into it, I turned it off.
Yeah.
Maybe I will give it a shot. It just got to the point where, well, I could try to make this jump and go over here to this one ledge, but I just don't care. And then at that point, I realized I need to turn this off.
Right.
So I did. And then Sunday, I had some time to do a little bit of video gaming, and then out of the three choices, I dropped Destiny back in and played it for a while, and I realized I'm going to have to buy this game. I really do like it. It took a little while to get used to the whole MMO kind of part of it, but there's still enough story that I can just go and do little, I guess, solo quests, even though you may be doing something and you'll see other people jump in and be doing the same thing with you, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. But they don't like come after you and start shooting at you for no reason. And
I don't think they can. I don't think they can shoot me.
See, that's always been the thing that I've been worried about, is because I suck at those kind of games, so that's why I don't really like playing them with other people.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I actually got in on a quest where it was a team thing.
Yeah.
And there was I think there was three of us, and it was me and another guy that were he was level 4, I was level 5, and then a guy who was level 20 or something. And that poor bastard had to carry us all the way through that thing because we got thrown into some stuff, and it's I stood no chance. I put 100 rounds of bullets in this guy, and then he just turns around and shoots me once, I'm dead.
Oh, man.
Because he's just so far overpowered. High level, whatever the hell he is.
Yeah.
And so once I got through that, that guy carried us through, earned my points, moved on. I've just been playing the quests that go with the story. I did join they got a really interesting menu system. It's basically, it looks like you're in orbit over Earth, and then you select a destination, and you can go to the moon or back to Earth or to the tower, which is where everybody goes and hangs out. And there's another one called the Crucible, where it's basically like playing Call of Duty, really.
Yeah.
And I jumped in there and was playing and was getting my ass handed to me. And then I finally started. I think I died 5 times before I finally killed somebody else on the other team. And it's I started to get the groove on it. It was a little bit like of a capture the flag, or not capture the flag. What's kind of a domination thing for Call of Duty people, where they have 3 posts and you go and stand there long enough that the post gets turned over to your team and then you try to defend it.
Okay.
And I got going on that. And was doing fairly well for a little while, and then all of a sudden the screen just went black and said I lost connection to the host, and then I could not get back to the Crucible after that. And so that really that bummed me out, because I wanted to make it all the way through that one game and see what happens. And
right.
And so I don't know if they just, I haven't looked, but I don't know if they're having
some server issues
or whatever, but or maybe it's just my crappy internet connection. Who knows? So the winner of this weekend, I guess, would be Destiny. I have to take it back to the library like Wednesday or something like that. So once I do that, I will be going to the store. I did see it's cheaper at Costco than anywhere else. I'll be going to Costco and buying myself a copy. Yeah, it's like $7 cheaper than Amazon at Costco.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah, it is surprising. So
yeah, I wouldn't.
So that was my gaming weekend, and
wow.
I know you're a big Assassin's Creed guy, but I guess I wasn't in the mood. I don't know. I just didn't care.
I will, like, I'll be the first person to tell you that you have to be wanting to play that type of game, because it is very story driven, especially at the beginning. I mean, especially at the part where you're at, and until you get to the point where it becomes an open world. It's very linear. It's very they have to direct you at a certain path to get you to the point where they can say, okay, now it makes sense for you to have this big open world to go do whatever you want in. And that's where I think the game excels, is once it gets opened up and there's so many, it kind of keeps throwing different things at you, and you keep coming across things, especially once you have your own boat and you can sail around and find the different areas and find little islands, and you're like, oh, hey, look, there's some stuff over there. I can go check that out and see what's over there. I think that's.
I'm sure I would love that aspect. I'm sure I would really like that. I don't know what my problem was.
I almost kind of want to just take out, like, save my game to a flash drive and bring it over and stick it in your Xbox, so that you could try, like, playing it after you already have all that. Like, I mean, you would be learning on the fly type thing, because you don't know how to use all the different gadgets and stuff that you get, but just getting out there and sailing and enjoying the ship-to-ship battles, the naval battles, I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. And there'd be different parts of it that I think you'd really like, but they also have to figure out a way. I mean, either you're going to make it through the first part of it, or you're not. And if you, like you said, I mean, if you pick it up and you're like, you're just not feeling it, then the developers have missed the boat there. You know, they've got a disconnect in that first part of the game and I had the same thing. I had to force myself to get through that stuff. And I think I want to say there was even a couple points where I fell off of something and ended up getting really hurt, or I might have even, they call it desynchronized. You don't actually die, you just desynchronize. I think I probably did that in the first part of it, because I was trying to do stuff that the game wasn't ready to let me do. But because I'd played all the others up to that point, I was trying to do stuff that it didn't want me to. It was beyond what my character could do yet. And so, you know, I get what you're saying, and I just hope that if you don't end up picking it back up after you get done with Destiny, you let me know, and I'll give you my copy of it, and you can give that a try. And you don't have to return it in a week or whatever it is you have it from the library.
Cool. Yeah, I think it all comes down to the reason I like Call of Duty as much as I do, besides it being a first-person shooter, is I can pop the game in if I've got like a half an hour, and I can still get 2 or 3 games in, I
Yeah.
guess you'd call them.
Yeah.
And matches. We'll call them matches. And a game like Destiny, you can kind of sort of do that. Not so much. Titanfall, you can really do that. Assassin's Creed, it feels like it's a long haul thing.
Yeah.
You need like 2 or 3 hours to get started.
Yeah, I would compare it like my analogy would be like a Call of Duty or Titanfall is more like your superhero of the week or your supervillain of the week type TV show, where you don't need any backstory. You could just jump in, watch an episode, jump out, and never watch it again and be perfectly fine. It's not going to kill you, And Assassin's Creed's more like Lost. You got to start at the beginning and you got to make it through the entire series before you to really understand the end. If you jump in and try to play at the end or play in the middle, you're not going to understand what's going on. So,
yeah, I could buy that. And I'll probably put it back on reserve, and when it comes back up again, try it again. Like I said, I just may not have been in the mood for it. Maybe, I'll get it this winter when it's colder.
Yeah.
And I'm in the house more, and,
Yeah, or if you do end up wanting it, let me know. I'll bring it over. We'll meet for lunch, and I'll let you borrow my copy of it because I've beaten the game. I've beaten the story part of it, and I think I've got to about 75% completed of everything, and I've kind of moved on to other games now. So I very rarely. It takes a lot for me to go back and play a game that I've already completed the story to. Especially if I find another game, and now I'm playing Dishonored on there, so it's gonna at least taking me completing Dishonored before I get back into that one. So if you want to borrow it, let me know.
Will do, man. Appreciate it.
So we got your big weekend out of the way, and if people could see our show notes here, they would think that I did nothing except watch TV over and over and over again. But this was just not in the weekend. This has been from since we recorded episode 48, which was last Monday, to this weekend. I've watched a lot of TV shows. I have watched. I even watched a movie.
You watched a whole movie?
I know. Believe it or not, I watched a whole movie, and not only did I watch a whole movie, I watched a whole movie with my wife here at the house on the TV, and she stayed awake for the whole thing.
Wow, that's amazing.
I actually don't know the last time that her and I sat at the house and watched a movie where she didn't fall asleep. So, because usually, it's that comfort thing. If you're sitting at your house, especially her, because we don't, a lot of the movies that we want to watch are movies that, the kids can't watch, and so you don't start them until
Brown Cow.
Yeah, you don't start until 9 o'clock at night. Then that's past her bedtime at that point. She's already asleep right now. So
hey, same with my wife.
But so I guess what we'll do here is I'm gonna start with TV shows, and I'm gonna start with the one that's more news than it is a review, and that's that CBS has actually committed to airing a Supergirl TV show. So there's not a whole lot of details on this yet, but I bring up a couple of questions here. One, CBS was the one that tried to do Wonder Woman, and that pilot failed so miserably they didn't bring it to air. And two, do we think CBS can copy what the CW did with Smallville and Superman? Can they recreate that with Supergirl? What do you think there, Kip?
Well, I think the CW's formula is kind of just aimed at, I hate to admit this because I watch some CW shows, I think they're aimed at teenagers.
I think so too.
The storylines are, you know, basically teenage, Vampire Diaries, stuff like that, are very
Well,
slanted
even
towards.
yeah, even Arrow and those are not your. I mean, the way those pretty people are set up in there, they're set for your teenagers, your Twilight fans, uh, Hunger Games fans, your pretty people fans.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that if CBS can, I guess, borrow that feel, I think they'd have a pretty good shot with Supergirl. If they try to make it serious, like an Agents of Shield type of feel to it, I think it would fail. Because
Yeah.
it's called Supergirl. I mean, there's nothing serious sounding, just even in the title.
Right.
It sounds like something, she would still be in high school and crushing on some boy and total CW type of fodder.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just hope. I mean, my bigger problem with this, and I know it's not a problem, it's my concern. My biggest concern about this is that we're gonna get. How do I say this? CBS had a chance to really get break new ground with a female-oriented uh, superhero, or not even superhero, just a female-oriented TV show where the main character was a female. It was female dominated. Just could have put feminism on the map in that for a TV show, and that was with Wonder Woman. And they butchered it so bad in the pilot that they they didn't even put the pilot on TV. They just showed it to people, and it got such bad reviews from people that they didn't even go anywhere with it. I'm
Well, I
not
think if
I'm
you're
not
going to
confident
do,
they can do that with Supergirl.
well, you have to have Joss Whedon involved if you're going to have a strong female character. He does that better than anybody else, or at least get his input. But I wish we could have seen the Wonder Woman pilot. I would
Yeah.
like to really know if it was really that bad, or people didn't just weren't into it, or is it like Assassin's Creed for me? Was it really a pretty good deal? It's just they weren't in the mood for that. I'd like to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean CBS, you know, they do a few things. I did it again. I think I do that every week. They I'm doing on the podcast. Watch out, everybody. They, they
This is turning
do
shitty.
yeah. They do one thing really well. CBS does your police procedurals really well.
Yes.
And they had a TV show air um, this last week, and I believe the second episode came on tonight. Yep, it has been recorded, so it came on tonight, and that show is called Scorpion. Uh,
I want to see that. I have not had a chance yet.
I recommend it for anyone who likes the police procedural. Let's put it this way: did you ever see the TV show Numbers?
Yes.
Did you like that TV show?
I actually did.
Did you like the show, or did you like the way the genius the geniuses were played in that, where they were kind of socially awkward, said things, and you kind of looked at them like, did you really just say that? Did you like that aspect of it, or was it more the cop FBI thing?
It was a combination of the two, but I think what kept me watching it was the genius interaction.
then I will tell you right there that will that will make you love Scorpion. That the Scorpion is just like Numbers in the sense that you have these four geniuses instead of Numbers where it was really centered around one genius, sometimes two. This one is really it's centered around four different types of geniuses. You have this one guy who's just a flat out genius. He in the TV show he brags about his IQ being higher than Einstein's. Um, you have another genius who's a mechanical genius. So she can she knows how to take apart cars, put cars back together, knows how to like at one point in there he needs to hotwire a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something, and she knows exactly where to go hit um, where the hidden switches are in the car in order to be able to unlock the doors and to get it running again without having to break stuff apart and do a bunch of wiring. Which that is actually true. There's a lot of cars that have different ways to, especially if you're going to jump start them or hotwire them. Because when I worked at a car auction, we'd have to do that to some cars that the batteries died. Because they won't let you just hook up a jump start them. You had to go through certain goofy little electronic stuff to get them to work again. But anyway, there's a human calculator genius who can just run probabilities and statistics in his head. And then there's my favorite one was the psychological genius. He is they say he's a psychiatrist, but he's really more like a grifter. You know, he can read people. He can, take the. He was in this episode. There's a airline flight or they have a problem at air traffic control in LAX, and there's going to be a whole bunch of planes that are going to crash if they don't fix this. And they need to get a hold of somebody on the plane, but they've lost communication. So he goes through the manifests and looks at professions and age and different like things that would be in a flight manifest of people on the flight, and is able to pick out the ones that would probably have left their cell phone on, so that they could call them and get a hold and be able to get it to the pilot. So it's that kind of dissecting. I really like that. I also think it's fun that is the same actor who was in American Pie and played the one who always wanted to what was it? Who had like the hot mom, I think it was. What is that?
The guy who played Stifler?
I think that's it. I think it's Stifler. I'm trying to remember.
Or is it the guy that slept with his
mom? Where's
IMDb?
No, it wasn't Stifler. It was. Now I don't remember who it was. Well, you know what I should do is I should just look up that TV show, Scorpion, on IMDb, and that would be a whole lot easier than trying to look it up on freaking.
That is just crazy talk.
I don't know why I would do that.
There's a shit ton of stuff that's got the word Scorpion in it.
It's Eddie K. Thomas.
Yeah, he's the guy that played the guy who slept with Stifler's mom.
Is that okay? Yeah. And he's actually really good. I actually liked him in it more than I liked the main character, who is the Einstein level genius, Walter O'Brien. But I really thought it was a good TV show. I enjoyed it. The big concern that I have is that this is going to be, you can tell from the pilot and just the way that it's set up, that this is going to be a crime of the week format. So there's not going to be a whole lot there other than the characters and the interaction between the characters. They're going to keep you coming back for more. So they've got to make sure that they keep the characters developing in order to keep you coming back. And they did do a very good job of that. I was surprised on how much character development for the main character Walter O'Brien there was in this pilot episode. I mean, you don't find all his backstory, but you get to find kind of what started him down this path, and you get this kind of he's been wronged by Homeland Security, or he's worked for the government and it didn't turn out so good. And by the end of that episode, they actually he tells you what happened. He's talking to somebody else, and he ends up telling him what happened. And it's basically he created this kind of delivery, this way to do drops for aid. So like they could take and almost kind of like shoot missiles and drop packages, to drop medical aid or supplies or something like that to countries that need it, or even to their own troops. And instead of, he finds out that the government turned his technology or his programming and used it to drop bombs in a except they didn't let him know that that's what they were going to do with it. So the way his program was written was for kind of just a broad area, like, hey, it just needs to drop in this area. So it ended up killing like 2,000 civilians or something like that, and it's affected him. It's made him not trust the government, not like the people, and not wanting to give up, not use his knowledge and his genius to do things like that. So it's a really interesting show. I recommend people checking it out. Second episode aired tonight, so you're not that far behind. If you want to pick it up, it would be easy enough to pick up and just go with it.
Yeah, we didn't record it because Sure West, or whatever the hell they're called now, Consolidated DVR box only lets you record 2 shows at one time. And Monday nights is a very overloaded night, so we had to make choices, and that was one of them that didn't make the cut. When we get Google Fiber, we'll be able to record up to 5, and then we'll probably pick it up then.
And then you won't have that problem. And worst case, you pick this up at you wait till this comes out on Netflix and get it on Netflix, and you'll be good. Or from the library.
We'll probably. Yeah, it depends on how far in it gets, because there's nothing better than binge watching a TV show sometimes.
Yeah.
You get that continuity.
I completely agree with that. And this one would probably be, this is one that would be fun to kind of binge watch. You might get the threads that would connect the episodes a little bit better if you binge watch it, but I don't think those threads are really going to be that necessary for the enjoyment of the show as a whole. So
cool. Sounds like it's a must watch according to Morph.
Yeah, must watch for Morph. That's going to be our new rating system. So that was my Monday I ended up watching it on Tuesday, I believe, last week. And so the next show that I watched after that just happened to come out on last Tuesday, and that was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Episode 1, Season 2.
Sweet.
And this one is definitely one, if you liked the way Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ended last year, you need to watch this. You need to get in, buy in now. This is a very good TV show. This has got some great stuff to it, and they keep the intensity from the end of season 1, where you have here, I'm going to put it out there now. Anyone listening, spoilers coming up for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so if you haven't watched last week's episode, the first episode of season 2, pause this now, go watch it, come back, and you can listen to this because I'm gonna run into stuff. And if you haven't watched the end of season 1, tough shit because I'm gonna spoil it now.
I'm just gonna have to mute you. That's all.
So end of season 1, we had. I mean, everyone knows. I'm sure by now because I've seen Captain America 2. I'm sure everyone else has seen Captain America 2 now. Shield is gone. Hydra has corrupted everything. They've gotten in there. Season 2, the beginning of this first episode does a very good job of kind of running you back through all that real quick and kind of giving you here's what's going on type thing. But it keeps that intensity going of like, guys, we're in trouble here. We need to get out. We need to do this stuff under the radar. And but it also kind of shows that the team has improved in some areas. Like Sky is now kind of, she's more confident in what she can do. She's more confident as a shield agent, and she's a much better shot with a pistol than she was in season 1. So that's a good thing. But that
depends on what side of the pistol you're on, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But there's also some, it kind of shows you that these characters have, some of them are in not so good a shape. And I'm not going to spoil this part of it because I think this is really good and it caught me off guard completely. But Fitz and Simmons are in this first episode, and there's a pretty big twist that they put on you there, and a pretty good reveal that just kind of makes you feel sorry for them and kind of wishes that you were back to what it was before. You kind of miss the banter, and so we'll be curious to see how much of it's going to keep going, and if they even keep these two characters around for how much longer. The other good things that they do, they've got Coulson still running the show. He's completely underground. The whole Shield group, which is basically like 5 people, maybe 6. That's really it. That's all he's got. But Coulson's been traveling on the underground trying to recruit more people that could help in different areas, kind of running the whole Nick Fury side of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's really kind of like Nick Fury in this first episode. But the government is still hunting them. You see it brought up several times. The government still doesn't trust S.H.I.E.L.D. They're still trying to bring in Coulson and his team, and it's a pretty big deal. So much so that in one part of the episode, Coulson's team actually saves the brigadier general who's specifically trying to hunt the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. saves his life, and he still's like, you know what? I don't care. I'm glad you saved me, but you're still going down. So
ungrateful bastard.
Yeah, pretty much, and it ends up almost costing him his life. But it's going to be interesting to see how if that dynamic changes through this season, because it's going to provide some tension and some intensity to everything that S.H.I.E.L.D. does, everything that the S.H.I.E.L.D. team does. The other thing that I really liked about this episode was the Absorbing Man. This is the first big villain, super villain even, that this TV show's had, and really any superhero TV show. I mean, you don't have, I'm trying to think, and it's like, I never really got into Smallville, so maybe Smallville kind of had it with the Lex Luthor type character. But Arrow doesn't really have a super villain. They've got not in the sense that he has like this super ability. A lot of times you get the guy that's just super strong, or the guy that's, that super smart or something like that you can't really see, and it doesn't really have a visual effect to it. But the trick with the absorbing man is that he can, any material he touches, he can change his molecular structure to mirror that object that he touched or that material. So if he grabs onto an iron chain, he can turn either just his arm iron, or he can turn his entire body into iron. So bullets just bounce off of him, or he becomes as dense as iron, so you punch him and it's like punching an iron wall. They do this really well in the TV show. At one point he touches a diamond and you see his hand turn to crystallized like diamonds. Like, that looked really cool. There's several times through the episode he does it and changes his body. That visual effect is really kind of cool. It was very, very well done, especially for a TV show. So I kind of hope that this character, he didn't get captured at the end of this one. He's still out there. So I'm hoping that he's going to come back in and still kind of be a big supervillain for S.H.I.E.L.D. to try to track down.
Cool. I'm a big fan of, if you got a show like that, you got to have the big bad, as my wife puts it. You got to have the big bad that you can always count on to create drama and tension. So sounds like this is a good one. I can't wait to see him.
Yeah, it's really good. And the episode starts off with a flashback to World War II and kind of shows you Peggy Carter and her team. So, and that looked really good. There's not a whole lot to it. It's just a couple of minutes to kind of get the show started, but it makes me even more excited for the possibility, or not even the possibility, the winter break when Peggy Carter actually comes out and we get to see the TV show Peggy Carter. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. So I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
And Lucy Lawless was in this first episode. She does not end well, but you don't know if she's dead or not. She just gets really, really hurt in a car wreck because of the absorbing man. So I don't know if she's... I'm pretty sure you don't hire an actress like Lucy Lawless for her to only be in one episode. So I'm going to guess she's coming back. But I'm going to be really curious on how she comes back. And there's some different parts in the first episode that just kind of make you go, what are they really going to do with this character?
Is she good or bad?
She is a good guy, kind of. She's an ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, but kind of turned into a mercenary. So she's just kind of basically doing things to get money. And she's got a couple of other mercenary types with her, and they are very much about... They make it well known that they are not on Coulson's side, just mainly in the sense that they don't have the same ideals as Coulson. They're really just in it for what's best for them. So it'll be interesting to see how this keeps going. But overall, very good show. Mr. Kip, you need to get caught up, and you need to get back in here so that we can talk about this more.
Well, I definitely do. It's upsetting that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't on Netflix. So we're waiting for our copy from the library so I can get caught up, because I think I missed like the last 5 episodes.
Okay.
Because our DVR died and
wrestling got in the way.
Well, no, that didn't get in the way. It's just that right after Captain America came out.
Oh, right.
We didn't get to see that. So from there on is what we're missing, and that's when our DVR died and we lost everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll well, hopefully you'll get it from the library here soon and get caught up before you get too far into the season, because it's really good. And So I recommend another one of Morph's recommendations. What did we call it before?
Morph's must watch.
There you go. Morph's must watch. I'm gonna have to write that down so I remember it. So we've done the good things here. Now we have the bad.
Dun dun dun. Wait a minute, I might have a sound effect for that.
Oh, that's perfect because I think that sound is actually played through this entire movie. Um, and yes, I said movie. This is the movie that I watched it last night, so it's fresh in my mind. I have been ranting about it for uh, almost 24 hours now because that is how much I absolutely hated this movie. This is this is
There,
a
just to make you
Michael
feel
Bay.
like you're still watching it.
Yeah, this is a Michael Bay movie. So there you go. We watched Transformers: Age of Extinction, and if no one, if you haven't watched this movie yet, I will tell you right now, so you don't even have to listen to anything else that I say right now. If you have not watched this movie, do not watch this movie, or at least do not pay for this movie, because honestly, this is a movie that I own all the other Transformer movies. I have downloaded them, watched them, and then I've gone out and bought them because that's what I do. I download the movies so that I can see if I like them, and then if they're good enough to deserve my money, I will go out and buy the movie to support those people. This movie is so bad that I am actually going to delete it off my hard drive. I don't want this anywhere around me. It is so bad that it's
To make you feel dirty.
it's so bad that if I would have paid the $10 or $12 for a ticket into the movie theater, I would have walked out halfway through this movie. That is how bad this is. I do not know how this thing has made so much money. And as far as I know, there's from the rumors I keep hearing, they're planning on making another one. This movie is utterly awful. It is, first of all, my first problem is it's 2.5 hours long. It's way too long, especially for this movie. But you can tell with the way it was edited, this movie, they think it could have been easily 5 hours. It's just awful. You start off with this idea. I like the idea of it. That the battles from the first few movies have been so catastrophic that the humans have turned against all the Autobots and have cut ties with everybody and is now just hunting them down to basically arrest them or incarcerate them. To get rid of them, kick them off Earth or lock them up, whatever it is. But they don't want any more of these alien robots running around. I get that. That makes sense. I thought this was really interesting. But from that point, you have the first, what is it, first about hour of the movie. There are actually no Transformers in it. First hour of the movie, you just have Marky Mark arguing with his daughter over whether or not she can be dating anybody, arguing over whether or not he should eat dinner, how they have no money, and how he shouldn't have bought this beat-up looking truck.
For an hour. This goes on for an hour.
Pretty much. Yeah, good 45 minutes to an hour.
Sweet.
So then the next half hour, the government finds out that he has this truck. They know that it's Optimus Prime. They go and hunt it down, and there's lots of big explosions. They have one scene in there that I made the mistake of watching this the whole family watched this movie together for about an hour and a half before the kids had to go to bed. And there was one scene in there where the government has come in, the CIA special unit has come in to basically get Optimus Prime, and they have Mark Wahlberg pinned to the ground. They have his assistant pinned to the ground, and they have his daughter pinned to the ground. And Mark, you've seen the trailers. I don't know the chick's name. She's not a unattractive daughter. A little kind of creepy, attractive. Being that it's Mark Wahlberg's daughter. That's a little weird, but she they have her pinned to the ground. She's 17, 18 years old. She's going to be graduating high school. And they have her pinned to the ground with a gun to her head, ready to shoot her, just to get Mark Wahlberg to tell them where Optimus Prime is hidden. That kind of rubbed me wrong. It kind of bothered me because it didn't need to be there. Like, they've got people there looking for it. They didn't even look very hard. I mean,
well, there's this giant barn over there. Do you think it could be in there? Nah, it's not in there.
That's the thing. They're looking in the barn, and supposedly Optimus Prime has somehow dug a hole and crawled into this hole in the ground and has these like boards going over the top. But if you look down in the freaking hole, you'd be able to see the lights that are on Optimus Prime that are freaking glowing, because you can see them when they show it from Optimus Prime's perspective. The hole is lit up. It's like, this doesn't even make sense. So instead, you're going to just draw up this idea of, hey, we're going to shoot your daughter if you don't tell us where he is. It's like, wait a second here. I mean, it was that cheap way of writing in, hey, these are the ultra bad guys. They're so bad they're willing to kill a 17-year-old girl just to find out where a robot is. I mean, it's very bothersome. I don't like it. I don't like how it was done. And I mean, this is within the first hour of the movie. First hour and a half of the movie. Not good. Just not good. Now, from that point, after that hour and a half, they escape with Optimus Prime. They get away, and now they're trying to figure out who's after them and what they're going to do. Right there, end of one movie. Could have been done right there. It literally feels like the movie ended at an hour and a half. And then the next hour was a completely different movie. They didn't feel cohesive. In that first hour and a half, you kind of felt like there was a plot and a story that was going there. But once they got away, it's like they said, oh, hey, you know what? We need to fill up this other time. We didn't have enough explosions in that first hour and a half. So we need to wrap up the story really quick as we can, with as many explosions as possible.
How do the Dinobots fit into the whole thing?
We haven't got there yet. At an hour and a half in, Dinobots, you don't even know where they're from. You don't even know they're in this movie or where they're at. Nothing.
Okay, this isn't making any sense.
Yeah, this movie was pitched as the introduction of the Dinobots, and that the Dinobots were going to be I kind of thought they were going to be the focal point of this movie. Nope, hour and a half in, you don't even know where they're at yet.
Great.
So, from this point, they go and find out that now Mark Wahlberg's character is an inventor. He's a gadget guy. That's why he's able to fix Optimus Prime. Well, no, he didn't fix Optimus Prime. Well, he got Optimus Prime up and running again. Basically took a mortar shell that he'd been hit with out of his chest so that Optimus Prime could come back to life. Optimus Prime makes a comment before they escape the barn that he needs to get back to his other Autobots so they can fix him because he needs to be fixed. Makes sense, plausible. I like that. But he's hurt so bad that he's not going to be able to get out of there. Like, so Mark Wahlberg convinces him that, hey, help me do this. I can help get you fixed up so we can get you running. Okay. I can get that to I can accept that suspend my disbelief just enough to make that actually plausible. Okay, we go with there. Optimus Prime is still beat up in a hunk of junk. Okay, they get away when they get away from the barn and get away from the government agents. He's driving down the road, scans a new truck, changes from the old style flat-faced, Mack truck to the new Mack trucks. And now, when he transforms, he's no longer banged up or injured. He is perfectly healed after scanning that truck.
Hell yeah, that totally makes sense.
So why didn't he do that before? I mean,
Mark Wahlberg owns nothing but shit. I don't know.
Why? I mean, why? And really, if that's the case, if that's all they need to do to be able to rebuild themselves, why doesn't every time an Autobot or a Decepticon or any robot get in trouble, why don't they just scan a new vehicle and then voila, they're all back to... So now all the fighting means nothing, because all these guys have to do is scan a new car and voila, they're all fixed up. It doesn't make any sense, and it bugs me. So we're going on this thing now. So now for the last hour of the movie, you are dealt with them trying to find out that the government has a defense contract with some electronics company who has now, basically the government is hunting any sort of transformer, killing them, taking the metal from them, and trying to make their own transformers. Somebody on Earth. Yep, that's exactly it. Somebody on Earth was smart enough. We're not smart enough for interstellar travel in this movie, but we're smart enough to be able to map out as they call it, map out the transformer genome so they can build their own sentient transformers.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Yeah, at that point I'm just like, what? Why? Why are we doing this? And at this point, again, still no Dinobots. You find out that the government has a contract with a transformer hunter, some bounty hunter type thing that's trying to collect something, but Optimus Prime is one of them. No idea what it really is that he's trying to hunt or who he's hunting it for. The creator, he says, but Optimus Prime's one of them that he wants. Apparently this guy is a badass, but instead of just coming and collecting Optimus Prime himself because he's such a badass and Optimus Prime's beat up, he lets the humans do it for him, and then they're supposed to trade him Optimus Prime for some sort of big bomb. Again, no sense. Doesn't even make sense. So that's where the plot basically ends. The rest of the movie is just them, different battle sequences. This is the next problem that I have, and as if I haven't pointed out enough bad things. For the last hour of the movie, you have scenes set up specifically to show combat and explosions. So much so that you will have a scene where, uh, just as an example, you have a scene where the humans are trying to get out of a situation. They're stuck in this area and they're in a firefight with some bad robots. Because they're not Decepticons, because there's actually no Decepticons in this entire movie. Except one, and that's Galvatron, which, if anyone knows the history of Transformers, Galvatron is the reincarnation of Megatron. When Megatron gets destroyed, like basically taken apart, he's rebuilt into Galvatron. So they at least get that part right. But you'll have this situation where the humans are trying to get out of this situation, and the Transformers are off dealing with something else. They will be, let's say, on the roof of a building, fighting off other humans. Then you flash to another scene with some Transformers fighting. Then you flash back to the humans, and the humans are no longer on the roof. Now they're on the street level. But you look at it and you go, well, how the fuck did they get to the street level? It doesn't matter, because the action doesn't happen from when they get to the roof to the street level. They're now on the street level, so they can get in a car and drive away from these other people so that there can be a car chase. Then you flash to another scene with some more robots, and the robots are in planes now. Robots can't fly, so they're in planes. So now we have planes fighting. We have a dogfight with alien spaceships with Transformers driving them. So then you flash back to the humans. Again, nothing happens. There's a dogfight. I don't know why. I don't know who's going after them. I don't even know where these other, like, supposedly this bounty hunter has a crew. I don't know. Maybe you kind of see some people moving around, but you don't know what they are or who they are or what they can do. You know nothing about them. Just apparently they can fly ships. So you're done with that dogfight. Some explosions happen. You flash back to the humans. Now they're out of the car, and the car's not there anymore. Well, how did they get there? It doesn't matter, because now they've caught up with Bumblebee, and Bumblebee's transformed, and now they're in Bumblebee's car, and they've got other Transformers coming after him, trying to destroy him, the bad Transformers. So they're shooting at him, and they're shooting missiles at him, and Bumblebee's weaving all over everywhere. And there's some explosions, and Bumblebee, like, a explosion causes Bumblebee's car to go flying up in the air, and then he transforms into a robot, catches the people as he's going, which apparently does not hurt the people to get caught by this gigantic hand going whack. That apparently doesn't hurt any of them, doesn't kill any of them.
He's got a light touch.
Yeah, flipping through the air, catching them, landing on the ground so that all these guys are safe in his arms, while there's explosions going on everywhere. And then he does that, and then it flashes to another Transformer battle. We're out of the dog fight now. That's some other Transformer off in the distance fighting more Transformers. We watch that battle for a couple minutes. Have no idea why they're battling or where they're at in relation to everyone else, or it's just explosions. Then we flash back to the humans. And now they're nowhere near Bumblebee. Now they're running for their lives with this giant bomb in a leather, looks like a body bag that they're dragging behind them. They didn't have that before in any of the scenes earlier. Well, any of the 2 previous scenes. They maybe had it 3 or 4 scenes earlier, but they didn't have it in there. But they've got it back now, so somehow they got it back. I don't know where it went or how they were able to run so fast with it before, but now they can't run very fast because they're dragging this giant body bag looking thing. I have no idea why or what is actually going on at this point, but that's what the last hour of the movie was.
Okay, now where's the Dinobots?
They're still not there yet.
What, do they come in with the ending credits? What the hell's going on here?
Pretty damn close. You get into the final battle between Lockdown, who's the bounty hunter. There's five Transformers that you know their name. There's a total of 7 named Transformers in this movie, and you do get I can remember 5 of them. You have Galvatron, you have Lockdown, who's the bounty hunter, you have Optimus Prime, you have Bumblebee, and you have this new Transformer that's Hound, and he's probably the only good part of this movie. And he's voiced by John Goodman, and his comic relief and the John Goodman, just goofy one-liner wittiness in it makes it entertaining to listen to. And if there was just a track where you could just listen to him talk through the entire movie, it would be hilarious. So the final battle comes in. Optimus Prime has apparently stolen a ship from Lockdown that has the other prisoners that Lockdown has captured in his bounty hunting. I don't know why he still has all of them. Maybe it's you gotta collect them all. Maybe it's a Pokemon thing. You gotta collect them all before he can get his reward. I don't fucking know. You don't know anything. You don't even see him. So you have no idea what's in this ship or what he's collected. He just said that he's collected stuff. So Optimus Prime goes in, makes this big deal about pulling out a sword, and then all of a sudden there's 4 gigantic robots. And I say gigantic in the sense that they make Optimus Prime look small. So, I mean, these things are massively huge in robot form. And Optimus Prime has some big speech about, like, I was once I need you to be on my side now, and you either are going to stand with me or stand against me. And then all of a sudden you see the Transformer in front of him kind of like roar at him and then transform into a Tyrannosaurus Rex and try to eat Optimus Prime. And Optimus Prime, in 3 hits, subdues Grimlock, which he doesn't have a name. He's never named in this. None of the Dinobots are named in this, but I think there's 3 or 4 of them, and it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, there's 4 of them. I'll go with that. There's 4. 3 hits. Optimus Prime subdues Grimlock, convinces him to fight with. Basically, has convinced Grimlock that Optimus Prime is not the bad guy. Grimlock's given up and is now going to help Optimus Prime. 3 hits. That is, you could tell it was done. Like, the idea behind it makes sense. You've got this creature that doesn't have much of a brain. You're trying to, basically, just beat it into the, submission type thing. But it doesn't last. Like, they obviously cut it because of time. They can't have it run long enough to actually make sense because they've spent too much time with all this other jumping around. So now Grimlock's decided, you know what? Hey, I'm on your side. So automatically the other Dinobots, they are on the Autobots' side. So you've got Grimlock the Tyrannosaurus Rex. You have a pterodactyl type thing, but it's got 2 giant tails. It's kind of weird looking. You do have a Triceratops. And then you have another one in the first scene, but I'm not sure you ever see it really again. At some point in one of the battles, you see one that kind of looks like a porcupine, but last time I checked, I don't think porcupines are dinosaurs. So I'm not real sure what dinosaur or what Dinobot that was supposed to be, because there wasn't one of those. There was a Stegosaurus, but there wasn't one that looked like a porcupine. Those are 2 big differences. So, final battle, you now have the Dinobots. They come to help out and to basically defeat the minions under Galvatron. Galvatron never actually fights in this thing. He never actually gets involved and ends up running away, which I kind of like because that's the way that's the way Galvatron, that's the way Megatron's always been. He'd fight a little bit. The moment he started to lose, he was getting the fuck out of there. Because otherwise, if your big bad guy dies, how are you going to have any more movies? Um, but the Dinobots come in, save the day, except for Lockdown now is back in the picture, and he is going after. He apparently has the gigantic. This is the other thing that doesn't make any sense. His giant spaceship that he has a giant magnet on it, so he can suck up all the metal. And that's how he's going to defeat Optimus Prime and these Dinobots. He's going to just suck them all back up into his ship, put them back in cages, and fly off. So, explain to me this one. If he had this, and he obviously doesn't give a shit about Earth, never has. He's made that clear. He doesn't care for the humans. He doesn't want anything to do with them. Why the hell didn't he do that in the beginning of the movie? When he first got to Earth, why didn't he just go suck up go suck up everything, trash it, or put it in a cage? Voila, you got your Optimus Prime. What the hell do you care if you tear up Earth? It doesn't make any sense, but apparently he has this giant magnet.
That whole thing just made my head hurt. I'm really glad I never sat through that thing.
Oh, hold on. Not done yet. Movie's not done yet. Optimus Prime shoots the giant magnet as he's being sucked up and destroys the magnet with one shot.
Of course.
Amazing. Amazing shot. But Optimus Prime couldn't actually defeat any of the other bad guys and can't defeat Lockdown. He can bring Grimlock down in 3 hits, but he can't defeat Lockdown. Lockdown kicks the shit out of him, and it requires the humans to come and save the day. Because Mark Wahlberg found this gun that is an alien gun that apparently he's figured out how to shoot and has now become a sharpshooter and can start shooting Lockdown, and Lockdown can't kill a measly human. You still interested in the movie?
For probably the comic value of it.
It's awful.
It's so bad that I may have to watch it just because it's so bad.
As long as you don't pay for it, because he does not deserve any money for this piece of shit.
Oh, we'll get it from the library.
It is utterly terrible. Now we're gonna go for the ending scene. Lockdown's
it's not over.
We're not done yet. Lockdown's been defeated. Optimus Prime has a cheesy speech, kind of like what he had at the end of the first one, and the second one, and the third one. Picking up the theme there.
I get you.
About I'm gonna take this big bomb that could terraform Earth into just Transformer metal. I'm going to take this bomb and fly off into the galaxy where no one will be able to get it. And then I'm going to go find this creator that's been hunting me, and I'm going to get him back. And Mark Wahlberg asks if the same line that every human asks Transformers or every hero, are we ever going to see you again? I don't know. But if you look up at the stars, I turned off. The moment he said, all you have to do is look at the stars, I'm like, are we watching the fucking Lion King?
Yes, we are.
Is that what Michael Bay has gotten to? He has to rip off lines from the Lion King to put into his movies? He's so bad at doing this now that he has resorted to ripping off the Lion King for heroic quotes. It's fucking awful. Then Optimus Prime has been stuck on the ground for 2.5 hours. Last second of the movie, He doesn't. He grabs this big bomb, puts it in his hand, and flies off into space. Not in a ship. The guy has just fallen from the enemy spaceship magnet thing that he shot and was sucked up, and then he fell to the ground and crashed, and you're like, oh man, he is toast. He has fallen from helicopters, he has fallen from buildings. Apparently the motherfucker had rockets. He could have just flown. But no, can't have that. That doesn't make sense. And before he flies off, guess who's still left on Earth? Dinobots. He just tells them, "Hey guys, guess what? Thank you for your service. You're free to go." And they turn into dinosaurs and run off into, I guess, the wilderness of China, which is where this battle takes place. Really? Really think that's a good idea? Really think they're not going to get found? Do you think you can hide something that is taller than the tallest building in Beijing? You think you can hide that in the woods?
Hey, why not? They hid a glowing transformer in a hole in a dark barn and nobody saw it.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't even understand where he looked at this and said, this is a good idea. Let's just do this. I mean, at least say, we can still use this here. We can fix this ship that we have over here, and we can fly off into space and take take the Dinobots with him or something. It's just awful. And you get to see the ridiculous love triangle between Mark Wahlberg, his daughter, and her boyfriend. Yes, that's the awkward love triangle. Most awkward love triangle I have ever seen.
Well, incest is best.
Yeah, you have this love triangle between the guy who runs the evil Inventor Corporation, who basically rebuilt Megatron, his Beijing CEO, I'm gonna call it, or person, and his ex-girlfriend, who you see in the movie at the very beginning, and then you see her in the middle, and then you see her in the end, but she really has no point and doesn't really need to be in there at all. Really doesn't provide anything to the movie, but she's blonde and provides another love triangle. It's bad. It's bad. It's awful. And it makes me angry. Yeah.
Enough to you gong it?
Yes. That is definitely a gong-worthy movie. Get it the hell out. And if you haven't paid for this movie already, don't. Because he doesn't. No one should be telling Michael Bay that this is okay. I don't even care that he has taken Transformers and basically ruined it for the next generation, because these movies are just that bad. I don't even care about that, because there's cartoons and there's comics that are still going on now with Transformers that are good, and they tell stories, and they're actually about Transformers and not about humans. This is just so bad, and the editing is so terrible that nobody should be paid for this. Nobody should pay a dime to see this, and nobody should have gotten paid. All those people should be fired for making this movie. It was that bad. And Mark Wahlberg is probably one of my favorite actors, and I am disappointed to say that Mark Wahlberg's in this movie. Like, it's not his fault. He had nothing to work with. I mean, his lines are cheesy, but it's just bad. It's just flat bad. and I've ranted long enough. Terrible movie.
Gotcha. So, run, don't walk away from this movie.
If somebody invites you to a party and they say they're going to show you that you guys are going to watch Transformers Age of Extinction at that party, you should seriously question whether or not you should be friends with that person. It's kind of like waterboarding.
Oh, shit.
You know, it'd be okay for a short period of time, but for 2.5 hours, you just want to kill yourself when you're done.
Sweet. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, there you go. So everybody go out and steal this movie, because that's the only way you should see it. Or get it from the library.
Well, now I'm completely depressed. I think we should end the show.
Yeah, we probably should. So now that I've gone on long enough and bored everybody out of their mind, you should come check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com.
It's equally as exciting.
Maybe I'll actually come up with some rants for some other stuff that I won't put on the podcast, and I'll just rant on the blog.
Somebody should.
Yeah. Or you guys can follow us on Twitter at GeekVice, which I think I might actually start using. Instead of getting my own Twitter handle, I might just start doing stuff at GeekVice. You can also find us on Google+. You can find us on Facebook. Just search for GeekVice. You can follow Kip over there, living large.
And in charge. Hey, I forgot to put my name up today.
Yeah, you
That's
did.
what's missing. Crap.
That's probably my fault, because I was running I had your login before last week, since you weren't here last week. But you can follow Kip on Twitter at Kip Killigan. You can follow Logtar on Twitter if you really want to, at Logtar. You can tell him how worthless he is for not showing up. And you can follow me not on Twitter, because I'm not there yet. So, you got anything else you want to throw out there, Mr. Kip?
Oh, did you mention our email address?
Not yet.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for listening tonight, listening to our ramblings, especially mine, because I rambled a lot and I felt like I was yelling a lot. If you want to comment on any of our stuff that we talked about tonight, or if you want to tell me how much you thought Transformers Age of Extinction was a good movie, if you can sell me on that point, I might actually take you out for lunch. You can email us this reason why Transformers Age of Extinction was a good movie. You can email us at geekvice@gmail.com. I don't think we're going to get any emails about how good that movie was.
I hope not. That would be scary.
So we'll see you guys next week.
Later.
See you.